Hello, lovely audience. And a couple of things before we publish the next WCC. First off, I think it's important to let you know that there are all kinds of things that came from the trade show. You probably saw an interview that I did with Jeff Galloway from Safe Trade. You probably saw an interview that I recorded, not an interview, but an informal conversation between Jeff Galloway and Diego Salazar from the Monero team. He does UX and some of their front-end work for Monero. But that was all published exclusively on BitTube. There's not that much that's on YouTube just yet, but we're past the contractual obligation to publish to BitTube first or exclusively with the remainder of the content. So I will be publishing to both places, BitTube first, but also to YouTube. And that'll be scheduled broadcasts that come out over the next several days. Why over the next several days? Because YouTube is a little bit finicky. If you just dump a bunch of content into YouTube, hello to anybody just joining in the comment section. But if you dump a whole bunch of content into YouTube, doesn't really like it. In fact, it counts against your engagement and your rank within YouTube. So hello everyone coming into the comments. If you have questions about WCC, feel free to ask them in the comment section. I'll address those as soon as I can, or any of the interviews that I've published so far, either with the PivX team or the Divi team. Or with somebody, one of the interviews you haven't seen yet, with the founder of Ledger. So one of the co-founders of Ledger, so the Ledger wallet. So WCC is World CryptoCon. It's a great question, and Mining asks. WCC is World CryptoCon, and I believe this was their inaugural event. Their first event ever was just kicked off in Las Vegas between October 31st to November 2nd, a 3-day event that was supposed to kind of run the gamut. There was a mining panel that was a mining panel that had a bunch of mining panel that had a bunch of different hardware manufacturers and had a bunch of other. Gosh, some of them were hardware manufacturers. Some of them were solutions providers, if we're being a little more honest. Some of them were MLMs. And then others were, were straight ahead sales organizations. So what's going on, guys? Thanks for saying hello in the comment section. Appreciate everyone coming out to support during the live stream. But if you have questions, Armand, hey, long time no see. But if you have questions about World CryptoCon, let me know in the comment section right now. So a bit of a recap, guys. Day one, if you saw the video that I uploaded to BitTube about the conference center and about the whole showroom floor, I did a walkthrough. You can find all of that over on the BitTube channel, bit.tube/mineyour.biz. But it was a little bit of a letdown, if I'm being perfectly straightforward. Kevin Muldoon did a sort of recap of his experience at the event too. We were roommates during the event, stayed at the same hotels, covered a lot of the same content, actually assisted each other in a couple of shoots. It was pretty darn cool. So Yankee asks, did you say showroom floor? And I got a simultaneous thumbs up as he asked that. Gee, it's almost like you've been to trade shows, Yankee. So yes, very much showroom floor. It's tough though, because you figure events like this, they're paid for by exhibitors, and they should be paid for by exhibitors. Larger scale events, say, the one that I'm most familiar with, the one that I'm very supportive of, is the National Association of Broadcasters. It's an event that I've attended, gosh, I mean, going on 12 years now. I've gone to NAB show. And they really put on a great show. And they've got anchor exhibitors from Sony to Canon, Nikon, Panasonic, now GoPro, of course. DJI is a big player in the space as well, and the other drone manufacturers. So a trade show like NAB show, they've been around for forever, right? Decades. Before a lot of these Japanese and now Korean electronics giants, and now Chinese electronics giants, before they entered the scene, before NHK was this massive force to be reckoned with, there were other broadcasters, right, that were going to NAB show. So it's a very established trade show, and they still draw, even on their bad years, they still draw like 80,000 people, 90,000 people. But at their peak, it was like 150, 160,000 people, right? Approximately double what their worst years are. So it's kind of a bummer going to trade shows like this, where I'm used to a trade show floor spanning multiple blocks. I mean, it requires a very large campus and a very large venue. So going to a crypto trade show, for me, was kind of a new experience. Much more intimate, much smaller, but also it seemed like the pricing was a little bit out of whack. Let me be a little bit more clear about this. Sorry, the other trade show that I've gone to on and off for about 10 years now is SIGGRAPH. Huge, huge in the world of graphics. Right. Hey, thank you for that. We've got a comment in the comment section by Armand that I think I do need to go on record as acknowledging. Yeah, Christy, when she was in Prague, she acknowledged me in the thanks section, the special thanks section of her presentation on Prague POW. That really means a lot. You guys have heard me say it on record many, many times. I consider Christy a good friend, and we do, and we connect offline. Yeah, hey, I've got Matt from the Technicals in the comments section saying that having the pricing be out of whack is the understatement of the day. And bruh, this guy knows, because he's had to work retail, and he's had to do large scale events also, and navigate from the exhibitor side, surely navigate from the exhibitor side, the negotiation sort of dance that you do with these kinds of events, where it's like, hey, can we get this, or you know, what are you going to give us when we get to this level of commitment? Like, what does this all mean? Who are we really building for? What's the guaranteed audience size? And I'm sorry, but and mining, I know that Matt didn't go. I know that Matt didn't go to this one, but I know that Matt, based on his, you know, the day job, that rather his retail holdings, because he's also, hey Matt, while I got you as a captive audience, guys, you need to know, and I've said it before on other live streams and on some of our voice chats, I respect the heck out of what Matt does, because he does crypto as a side pursuit. I know, right? Like, what's he gonna say? He does crypto as a side pursuit, but he handles his business in a way that more people from crypto should take note of. When you actually have a track record of success in a separate but equally challenging industry, then you learn some things about how to cover new ground in a space like crypto. So yeah, mad props to Matt in keeping it real, right? I really appreciate that. True business person. And hey, game recognized game. So absolutely appreciate you being in the comment section, man. But guys, but here's the thing. He drove a Lotus Elise first, and I gave him props for that on Twitter, because the Lotus Elise is the smart man's exotic. Where did I see Lotus Elises the first time? I saw them at DreamWorks Animation, because the smart guys there were like, dude, I'm on, you know, a decent salary, but still, like, you know, I'm not making millions a year. How can I get the most bang for my buck, right? A lot of zoom for the dollar. And man, the Lotus, horsepower to rate, just kicks butt. It's a fun car to drive. So anyway, yeah. and like Matt's saying, 10 times more fun than the Lambo, 10 times easier to work with, because you got Toyota parts under the hood, right? And properly mounted at the right point, so it's perfectly balanced. You get the right torque right where it matters, delivered. Anyway, this is not a live stream about cars. Anyway, so yeah, guys, the roundup at WCC, I'm really concerned if this is the trend for crypto conventions. And it's been suggested on crypto Twitter, which is a thing. I don't know. I don't think there's a crypto Instagram crowd. It's kind of like the Rat Pack, but much bigger. And but it's an interesting crowd, and I saw a lot of them there. Didn't really make as many contacts as maybe I should, so I apologize for anybody who's watching. I probably needed to give a shout out to Smart Trekkin', who was really kind, really generous with his time, and who asked me a lot of questions about audio production. And of course, you know, I was happy to oblige to help him improve the quality of his podcasts down the line, and help him streamline some of his production. Here's the thing, guys, you got to give where you can, and again, shout out to Trekkin' for really being generous in approaching other projects and asking relevant questions of projects with me. We did one joint interview that you guys are going to see. And no, that was not a double entendre, Matt. I know you're in the comment section, but when I say joint interview, I'm not referring to cross collab content of other industries. What I'm referring to, though, is that Smart Trekkin' and I, we did a joint interview of a company called Bit Alpha. So if you guys want to do a little homework on them before I air that interview, it's kind of a rough interview, very raw interview. where we don't have visuals. We don't have their, you know, their visual collateral. We don't have their website in the background, for example. But we do have the founder and the lead developer there. That's the one nice thing about these kinds of conferences. You've got everything under one roof. So as a person who's interested in interviewing developers, man, they are all there. They're all there. Co-founder and lead developer of Ledger was there. I asked him in person, face-to-face, about like, hey, what would it take to get support for a brand new crypto note on Ledger, on a hardware wallet like yours? And he said, well, yeah, there's a process, and yeah, it was a little more tricky. And we went through a couple of questions like that you don't normally get the opportunity to ask unless you're there face-to-face. And that person is saying, oh, yeah, right. Like, I have to switch hats from developer to educator, or work with this educator to figure out how to onboard new people into our ecosystem. So it's a really great opportunity. But man, in Las Vegas, like Matt was asking before, cheapest investment level to get a booth at 10K asking, it's steep. But when you compare it to other large-scale trade shows like CES, like NAB show, like SIGGRAPH, or like time as a show, you don't get a $20 entrance ticket for general attendance or general attendees to watch it, to go see the exhibits, unless the sponsors, the exhibitors, foot the bill. That's just how that's just how the cookie crumbles, guys. That's the economics of trade shows. So at a trade show like this, yeah, every inch of floor space is bought by exhibitors so that people who go, attendees, aren't squeezed for, say, $1,600. Oh, wait. At this trade show, though, they were. The VIP tickets at one point went for $1,600. Okay, so, and Sir John's asking, so where were you boothed from WCC? So I sat down with the Safe Trade team or the Safe Coin team for a short time and did, I think, exactly one interview there. I did have two sponsors. So guys, it's full disclosure. I haven't been in any way opaque about this, but the coverage was co-sponsored by BitTube and by Safe.Trade. They're a brand new exchange. They're based on the SafeCoin ecosystem. So it is a fork of sort of the Zcash family of coins, right? Hey, we got Steve McGarry in the comments. Good to see you, brother. Steve McGarry and I also were able to go to a media, sort of a little like media shooting junket downstairs as well, and talk to local news. There were a lot of really cool media production opportunities there, and cool media coverage opportunities. It was great to see other people, very serious people in the space like Steve, and work with Kev Muldoon to be able, and then, yeah, Smart Trekking, to be able to cover content there. It was awesome to meet everybody else, and super cool personalities in the space that are on crypto Twitter. I mean, I'm just going to call it how it is, guys. I'm not that cool. My kids have reminded me lately, yes, I've got teenagers, so they remind me like daily that I'm really not that cool. I'm not that cool a guy. But I do like to ask relevant questions when it comes to these sorts of projects. So the joy of discovery has never left me. And doing these interviews with other serious people who really want to get to the bottom of, hey, is this tech really transformational? Is it really any good? Then that for me, that does it for me, guys. That's awesome. Like, I'm very much in it to discover like what's the best path forward with crypto. So meeting up with very intelligent and well-spoken and very serious individuals like Steve, like Kev, like Smart Trekking, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do a disservice to everybody else who was there working on finding those gems by doing a short list like this, because, oh my gosh, because Shell 9 was awesome, and he was making the rounds. Like, I super respect what he does, and he's asking the right questions, but he's also helping to create a culture that's going to bring new people into the space. And hey, Crypto No, man, good to see you. So we had a chance to chat with all kinds of players in the space. Some of whom were like, no, we don't want to commit the capital right now or the funds from our project to go and buy a booth. And I can't say I blame them. For some coin projects, it would have been a very poor use of community funds. That's one of the takeaways that I got from this show. It was just a little bit too steep. Maybe it was the venue, which was beautiful. I mean, it's hard. Hey, we're back. So I know that the pricing for the booth, like for the exhibitors, I know that it priced out a few projects that are still kind of, guys, they're building. And they're building in a bear market. So I know that the pricing, it pushed out a few really great projects from being able to have a booth. It priced them out, rather. That's a bummer. And then I know for the exhibitor passes, they were steep. When you're asking people for hundreds of dollars to attend a trade show, not a networking conference, not like a developer conference, not a value-added conference where there are value-added breakout sessions and panels. Because I'm sorry, there were a couple of panels. I'm not going to name the names of the panels, but there were just a couple of panels and a couple of events where it was a glorified sales pitch. I get it. That's how these things go. That's part of the reason that some of the exhibitors and panelists pay for their positions, you know, on the trade show floor or on some of the panels. So I don't want to like call any single company or any single corporate interest out as being like a bad actor or something. That's just the game, right? It's just the game when it comes to trade shows. But when it's so imbalanced and leaning so much towards like, all right, we're gonna just do a pitch, right? An enhanced pitch session, but like from the panel. Matt asks, who put on the show? That's a great question. Yeah, he says they were clearly milking it from all ends. Here's my thing. I don't want to go quite so far as to say that, as much as I think that they were trying to cover their costs for sure. And because Vegas is expensive, right? For trade shows, it's not cheap. It's like putting on a trade show in, you know, in Silicon Valley, like in the Bay Area. You go to certain markets, everything just costs more. So I think it might be a mistake, I think, in the future to look at these exotic locations. I mean, we wouldn't put on a crypto conference in Monaco, obviously. And going to Malta, also, like, there were people there, but it was a very limited subset of the people in this space who were at the trade show in Malta. The trade show at Prague, probably the most practical of all the trade shows that were happening end of October, beginning of November. So, I mean, it was accessible to anyone that was in Europe, and people who are stateside, of course, people who are serious about it from the States, they found a way. Omar Bam, guys, huge shout out to Omar Bam, and then Carter from BBT for getting coverage of that event. Seriously, if they were not there, I don't know what we would do. There was coverage from the main stage of DevCon in Prague, but some of the smaller breakouts that us as miners are really interested in, like Christie's presentation on Prague Pow, they probably wouldn't have been covered if it weren't for Carter. So, guys, again, huge thanks to Carter and to Omar Bam. They were getting coverage that we couldn't have gotten access to any other way. And so I see trade shows like that where you're talking to the people who are making the next version of crypto, right? The platform level crypto or platform level blockchain that's going to result in the crypto projects that will, like we all talk about, like we wish there was something better than Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash or whatever else. Everyone who's building that was at DevCon. In WCC, there were some great projects. I don't mean to like crap on anybody who was there or my own coverage of it. There were some great projects there, but I'm really sad that we didn't have more of that builder sensibility at WCC. And I think that in part, it was a question of the pricing structure. Exhibitors possibly charged a little too much, and people who went just to view the exhibits almost definitely charged too much. And then VIPs, hey, people who bought the VIP pass at full retail, they complained about not really getting very much because there was no distinction. The special events, the VIP bracelet that you saw me wearing after day 2, didn't get anybody any special privileges. And we went to a couple of parties and after parties. No, there was no like, we didn't get a booth. There was no like, bottle service at the table or whatever else. Like it wasn't the sort of thing where wearing a VIP badge got me like opened all these doors. But I mean, let's be honest. This is me here. Would it have really made a difference? It would have been like, oh, cool, Bob. Hey guys, give me your keys. Here's your bottle. Like, I am, stone cold sober. and it's a lifelong condition. But it didn't really give anybody any special access to any breakout sessions or anything else. So there was not a very clear distinction between what general exhibits passes and what VIP passes meant. Media passes, of course, were supposed to give anyone that had a media pass free range to cover any event. I didn't go in with a media pass. Cryptodome's talking about the energy drink was too much. Yeah, there was an energy drink that I didn't cover it. That's the funny thing. I didn't cover it. I just went and grabbed one. It was essentially a Red Bull knockoff. And, you know, for me, being based in Utah, I'm kind of familiar with some of the industries of this state. One of the biggest industries outside of tech is multi-level marketing and direct sales of consumables. So there are companies here that will give you a white label multivitamin, they'll give you a white label energy pill, they'll give you a white label libido pill, white label Red Bull, for example, where it's a line item copy of Red Bull with a new wrapper. And that's essentially what we saw at the trade show. But it had the Bitcoin logo on it because, hey, the copyright licensing is it's great. Price is right. Free 99, right? So there's a bunch of logos out there. You could do the same thing with Monero if you wanted to. Call it Monero Energy. And there was you could. The licensing is free. So the Bitcoin flamethrower, not a Bitcoin, not a flamethrower, right? That'd be a great product. What is it? We don't know. Darn if we know. But it costs you, whatever, $6K. So yeah, there was one called Bitcoin, liquid assets. It's really funny. It's a funny play on words, right? But I don't know how much traction they're going to get out in, or where they're going to sell it. What's the retail location they're going to sell that at? I mean, I don't know. Now that I mention it, Bitcoin liquid assets team, if you're watching, go ahead. I've got an e-commerce store. I'm happy to drop ship cases of that stuff from my store. So I guess contact me. And hey, you got Matt from the Technicals. He's got brick and mortar retail. So that guy's got distribution for you. Get some liquid assets up in there. Just don't vape that stuff. Holy cow. Be like vaping Red Bull. Might be the last thing you ever do. Anyway. So guys, crazy trade show that I don't regret going to. Let me be perfectly clear. I don't regret going to it. The networking was awesome. And the education, we made the most of it. Those of us who were there to get educated found the education. I guess that's true of any place that you go. You're going to find people who are builders, building. You're going to find people who are educators, educating. You're going to find people who are lifelong students, trying to get something from the experience and learn from the experience. So we all made the most of it, but attendance, frankly, was low. There was, rough head count. I could have swore that there was a max, at any given time, there were only a few hundred people. And in the aggregate, I think we probably saw a grand total of maybe 2,000 people, maybe, filtering in and out of the event. Most of them not at the same time. So it made my event coverage look really sparse, and anybody that was covering the event from the media side, like that with a media badge, it made it really hard to make the event look good. Yeah, that's kind of the sad reality. And we know all the tricks, right? We know how to cover the largest crowds and and mix those shots in, whatever else, to make it look like it was like, whoa, it was amazing. But the reality is, the most heavily attended sessions were breakfast and lunch, because the ticket included those, because it was a really expensive ticket, so they had to add some value somewhere. Most likely, it was the venue, the Aria Hotel. It was likely a very expensive venue. And so for the price, they probably had to, on the negotiating table, say look, you guys are going to include this stuff. You're going to include breakfast and lunch, because there's no other way we're going to pay this price. And likely the Aria, they had their full weight behind it, saying, look, you guys, we are the Aria Hotel. You're going to pay at minimum this. So they probably, the event organizers, I feel for them, they probably kind of got put into a bad position in terms of negotiating a really good event and a really good rate. So I feel for them, but at the same time, we need better venues for crypto. So the sooner we can get this whole like blockchain city going out in Sparks, Nevada, the better, because it should be the event venue. Like it should be the new Las Vegas. So, you guys ever see Six String Samurai, that movie? I think we need the new Las Vegas to be this place in Sparks, Nevada. Of course, it may be ground zero for where the nuclear holocaust happens. I don't know. You know, where we finally invent a fully sentient AI that takes over the world. Skynet will be launched from Sparks, Nevada, when this new blockchain city opens up, and everyone kind of moves there from Puerto Rico and Malta and everywhere else. But you know, we've got at least a couple more years before that happens, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But we should have our own trade shows somewhere like that that's very crypto friendly. Crypto knows like that made a very dark turn very fast. Yes, it did. As will AI. Dun, dun, dun. Think of the future. Think of the future, children. Yeah, guys, those are my impressions. Met some great people. Hey, Crypto Gnome from the EtherGen team, like, that was great. It was great being able to talk to EtherGen finally in person, right? We haven't been able to do that, and I'm sorry that we weren't able to meet up again. Here's the funny thing: we went with the Safe Trade team out to a whiskey bar, and I don't drink whiskey. I went just because the company was so good, and right, so it was great to be able to meet people who were just really down to earth and building stuff, not meeting up just for the sake of networking. So guys, I feel like I got what I needed from this show, but I'm concerned about whether or not I got you what you need for me to go to a show like this, right? So I've got about 6 more days of content that I'm going to be rolling out here on YouTube and splitting between BitTube and YouTube. Again, thank you to BitTube for co-sponsoring my coverage of the event. And we're at the point now where a lot of this content will debut on BitTube first. So it will debut there primarily, but it won't be a BitTube exclusive. We've got 10 BitTube exclusives from the event that are already over there, so if you want to see those, then check that out. And they're good. They're really good, especially the conversations with Monero. If I may say so myself, I think this is some of the better coverage from the event. Because the Monero team, as you know, privacy-oriented, long-running project, but now we've got the PivX project that's on both platforms, and the Divi project that is a direct fork of PivX that's on both platforms. So check that out if you haven't already checked it out. But then stay tuned. I'm going to be scheduling this content for YouTube and then uploading it to BitTube just as fast as I can. So if you want to see it on you want to see it fastest, check it out on BitTube. If you want to just wait for the notification, then check it out here on YouTube, guys. Newbie is saying, did I hear you say that you have more Monero? No, this is not me pumping Monero. Monero is not my biggest bag, so not by a long shot. If I'm being a little more open about what my privacy coin holdings are, you'd have to check out Carter's coverage of that to know for sure on presentation at DevCon in Prague. So I had a recorded conversation between myself and Diego at Monero, and then a recorded conversation between Monero, a project that's based on Zcash, and where ZK snarks and there we go. Yeah, my Wi-Fi is censoring me. It doesn't like this tree. I think that the lights that I've hung from the tree are like a mini Faraday cage. First world problems. My ultra fast broadband won't travel with me everywhere I want. So had a conversation between Jeff from SafeTrade and SafeCoin and then Diego from Monero. And it's really cool to see a project that is private by default speak with a project that has opt-in privacy for their network. And the oh my gosh, yeah, 5G. 5G, come save me, because WiMAX wasn't enough. Jeez. So it's interesting to see these two projects talk and the two approaches talk, because on the one hand, you've got projects like SafeCoin that are working really hard to basically to create deals with banks so that they can get into the space of being an exchange, a properly recognized exchange in Canada. Monero is having a tough time doing what projects like SafeCoin and like Zcash are doing, frankly, because they are opt-in privacy, and it's weird. Anyway, check out the other interview with them. That one's on BitTube only. It is a BitTube exclusive because, guys, those were sponsor-funded interviews, so I really appreciate that sponsors made it possible to go to these events. However, from this point forward, all of the rest of the coverage will be on both platforms. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Thanks for hitting that like button. Really appreciate that. Thanks for checking this out live, and thank you for your continued support as I go and try to bring more value-added content to the community. We're in a bear market, but that's exactly why we need to knuckle down and learn more and build better from what we've learned, right? That's what I'm committed to. So appreciate you taking this journey with me. Appreciate you being supportive. Thanks for hitting that like button again. Thanks for being subscribed and checking these out when they go live. You are the reason that I make these videos. I love your face, and I will see you in the next one.